Everybody, I'm sure you already know, but this is James and Helen, and you should give them a big round of applause. Thanks so much for being... There's a lot of noise coming from that front table. Thanks so much for being part of my story. Now, you guys have been married for a little bit of time. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about your story?
We have been married in December, it'll be 20 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What have you got planned?
What for?
I'll probably get another chainsaw or something, won't I?
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm actually looking at buying a dozer, but...
Okay, nearly 20 years.
Yes. We went out for 5 years before we got married. We have got 3 beautiful boys,
Yep.
18, 15, and he just turned 13.
You've got all teenagers.
We have, it's scary.
It's I guess 20 years of marriage is it's been a challenge. We I guess entered our relationship in a sort of a different kind of way. We started our relationship with a lot of baggage, both of us, and that's I guess been the thing that we've really had to work through. Helen's had to deal with her stuff. I've had to deal with mine, and I guess in the early years, I was probably a bit of a speed hump in Helen's life at times. Being a bloke.
Does that mean she laid you down and drove over you a lot? Or
More than just drove over. But being a bloke, I guess you tend to, you're a warrior, so you tend to want to go in and fight and rescue and do those sorts of things, and that's what I did a lot of in our early years. And I mean, we had lots of stuff. Helen comes from Canada, and that might not sound like a big deal, but she carried cultures into our relationship that I wasn't accustomed to. Yeah. She had sayings that meant completely different things to what I was used to, and vice versa. And as silly as that sounds, it takes time to work through and to understand. So I'd say something without thinking about it, because it was just what you said in Australia, and she would take offence to it, and I'd be going, what's wrong with her? So there was that sort of stuff to work through as well.
So I assume you guys have done conflict, if you're normal. What's your natural way of doing conflict?
Last year was a very hard year for us. We were building a house, but we were also going through. James wasn't working. James had health issues, and some of my friends around me kept saying to me, "Just leave him. It's easier just to leave him." But we had one strong couple in the church, whom I'm forever grateful for. That taught me, I suppose, how to love him for who he was. And Galatians 5, verse 22 says that very well. How to love and be patient and be kind and be gentle and not try to be like someone else. And I remember at the time when we were going through this stuff, I went to a lady and she said to me, "You've got to learn to choose your battles." And that was a big thing for me. I had to... little things weren't so important anymore. It was the big things. So we had to learn how to communicate and learn to love each other for who we were, and that was a big thing in our marriage. I think before that we were so busy with the children and everything else, but it was time for us to get to know each other on a different level. And Tim even said at prayer meeting this morning how, God opens doors, but before those doors get open, you've got the big hurdles to go through before. And I think last year was that for us. We had to go through the big hurdle to get to the next level, and huge doors have opened since then.
Yeah, I guess we had to learn to, for me, I guess the biggest thing was just listening. Like, you do conflict, something would happen, and my immediate response was to try and solve it or resolve it. And so you immediately enter into a disagreement or an argument or whatever it might look like. I had to unlearn that pattern, and I just had to learn to listen to what the need actually was and then process that before I responded. Something really practical we learnt was to give each other a couple of minutes just to share without interrupting, like it's your turn, my turn kind of thing. And it sounds really stupid, but it's actually a really practical thing, and it made a huge difference for us.
Yeah. So even after being together for 19 years, it still wasn't perfect. No. But is it like now, having worked through some of that stuff, and I'm assuming you've got another, 30 odd years, whatever, 60 years, that, it's much better, I'm assuming. You're sitting here together. So I guess what's the next step? What are the things that you've put in place to continue your marriage growing? Are there some things that you've put in that? Let's just give each other time to talk. Are there other things that you've done?
Yeah, we spend a lot more time just trying to enjoy each other, just try and have a lot more fun, and we tend to do a lot more stuff together now that we never used to. I guess with the boys growing up, it's also given us a little bit more space. When your kids are little, you're flat out after them, as you would know, and you don't get a lot of time to yourself. So we're actually finding ourselves having time for each other. And I guess in our early years, we used to make a habit of it. We'd have a meal once a night together, but then that was when the kids were little, and so it's almost like we've gone through like probably a 10-year stage where we just haven't been able to do that, and we've now rediscovered that. Yeah. And so, we do fun things together now, and really starting to enjoy that. We bought a jet ski over summer, and just to be able to go out and just muck around on that, and we spend a lot of time in the bush together, just cutting wood or whatever, like Helen's doing stuff that I enjoy, and I'm learning to do things that she enjoys.
You're getting your hair coloured,
permed. Obviously our fashion sense is starting to get a little bit better. I'm starting to dress a little bit more. I guess I dress up a little bit more, but I don't do that very often. But no, so we're learning different stuff about each other. Yeah, it's really cool.
And we're starting to laugh again together. I think we missed that for a long time in our relationship. Everything was so strict and, this, serious. That and serious. And now, we're enjoying each other, we're laughing, we're having fun, we're going, we're doing more things as a family. We're actually going away as a family again in June, just doing things more together as a family and enjoying life, learning how to have fun again. So that's been a big thing for us, is to learning to laugh again,
One question that just came to mind, you've obviously gone outside of the two of you to help resolve issues that you've had. How did you choose the people to listen to?
For me, it was I still clean a lady's house one day a week, and she's like a mum to me. And it was actually her who brought me to a lady. She's a Christian lady, and because I just wanted to get that outside advice, but I still wanted it from a Christian person, and I wanted to have the Christian background that came with it. So for me, I wanted to go to someone that had wisdom. She was also a counsellor, but I didn't want to go to someone in church that was in the same circles for me. Yep. So I went to her, and I only went to her once, but it was enough of a key to carry me through from my growing in our relationship.
So you had to choose to not listen to some of those voices? Yeah.
Because I had a lot of negative voices and a lot of negative people around me that were telling me to leave him. And there was times when it would have been I thought so much easier, I'll just leave him. But then the reality of it all is just overwhelming, and you know that's not God's way. That's not God's way. And that was a big thing for me was, when you do your marriage vows, it's through good times and bad times, and those were the bad times. And we had to learn, and we had to get keys to work through those bad times.
So are you glad you did?
Oh, definitely. We're having a great time now. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's really good. And I guess too, for me as a bloke, men don't do relationships with other men well, and that was something I had to learn to do, and I had to learn to trust. So there are a few key people that I spoke to that I guess I trusted, and they were able to give me advice that sometimes was quite painful because they were telling you stuff you didn't want to hear, but that's just what you've got to hear, and then you've got to go away and decide what you're going to do with it. Yeah. And for me as well, our vow was till death do us part, and
what was the resolve there?
Spending 25 years in jail for murdering my wife wasn't very attractive. But no, so you make that commitment, and I believe God honours that commitment when you bring that to him. So, right, you were there when we said it, and we need your help, and God came through so many times where I was ready to do a runner, or I even remember saying to Helen, "Look, if you want out, let's just sort it out," and because life's not worth it. But God came through on so many occasions when you're at your absolute weakest, when you've got nothing left, and he would just come through with the goods. Yeah, so it's awesome.
Thank you so much. Let's give him a big round of applause.